everybody. Welcome to Justice Served Daily. Appreciate you being here. I am covering a case that I've been wanting to do and trying to get up here in the works of a bunch of other stuff. So I am glad to be able to bring this case up for everybody to see. It really needs attention and it really needs some assistance and help. Hello, Miss Page. Hello, Miss Jinx. And thank you guys for being here. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here for I can bring this up for you guys. We've had so much going on with the Delphi case, it's hard to work on anything in addition. So let me go, hold on. That's not what I wanted to do. Let me go back. Sorry about that. Hold on, open back up. There it goes. There we go. So this is a case from the same area that I did my show on about one of the biggest cases that I would like to see solved, which was Deborah Fulton, the 16-year-old girl who was murdered on Halloween night in 1981, which has still not been solved, nothing going on with it. And this case is another case that has been sitting out there for a long period of time from the same area. The thing that Alexandra has in common is that her body also was found in the Little Calumet River, just like Deborah Fulton's was right there on the banks of the Little Calumet River. So it is an Indiana true crime case, and it is still unsolved, and it is a very sad case of this 13-year-old girl who was reported missing on August 13th of 2005. And later her torso was found floating in the Little Calumet River. So I wanted to give some attention to this case, share some details and stuff from that, because they're also trying to hopefully ring a bell with somebody that if you have any information at all in regards to this case, the FBI has increased the reward for her for $20,000. They just did that in 2023. And so I want to share the details about her out there. I will do just a warning of the content just because of her, the way she was found as well. So, Alexandra is her full legal name. Her mom and that called her Alex. And she was 13 years old and went to Clark Middle School, lived in Hammond, Indiana. Now, because I have a lot of people who are not in the United States who watch the show, I just wanted to kind of point out the Indiana-Illinois border for you based on Alex's mother's boyfriend and where he lived in close. So you'll remember when, if you've watched Deborah Fulton, which I encourage everybody to do, that's a case very important to me. If you see Indiana, so Illinois is going to be over here on the left, and you can see Lake Michigan is right there, and basically Hammond is just right there on the border of Illinois and Indiana. So you can like drive a few minutes and you're in there. So I wanted to show you this map here. You can hopefully see the Indiana-Illinois line. And then over here, I don't know if you can see the mouse or not, but the kind of first little starred area that I'm near, just to the right, there is where Alex's house with her mother was. So, and the boyfriend's house was basically just on the other side of this and was considered a Chicago, Illinois address. When you live up there, you basically have Chicago media. Everything over there is like WGN, those type of stations and stuff like that that they pick up. So they identify there's a lot of people who work over in Illinois. They're the part of Indiana that stays changing their time zone, and they stay on Central Time when the rest of the state is on Eastern Time, except the southern part of the state. But don't get me started on all that because you don't want to hear me gripe about that. So this was the Anaya home at 4815 Pine Avenue in Hammond, Indiana. That's where they stayed. And so Sandra, who is the mom, Alexandra Anaya, and Alex, who is the 13-year-old girl. And then these are her 2 6-year-old twin sisters who lived in that house, or, they think they rented it, but and then her boyfriend, the mother's boyfriend, who is Rudolfo Heredia. He would kind of go over there, hang out and stay there, but he had his own place. But he is also the twins' father. So, but not Alex's. So in April of 2005, Alex, or Alexandra, told her mother that Heredia had been molesting her for the past 6 years, ever since she was 7 years old. And, I really feel like she probably got her courage from that her sisters were now approaching her age, that they were, now 6 years old. And I think she was worried about them, and she was very protective of them. They talked a lot about how she would basically treat them like she was their mom. She would take care of them and make sure they were doing all right and feed them and do stuff that a big sister would do. She just loved them to death. But I think it helped her finally find some courage in order to go to her mother and tell her that, her boyfriend had been, molesting her for all these years. And so Sandra, when she found out, she broke it off with Heredia, and she was no longer seeing him anymore, although he was extremely obsessed with her, extremely jealous of her, all of that. And he started threatening her, and he actually, at the beginning, had basically broke into the house, because at first she didn't know that he had duplicated the key. And so when he got in the house and stuff, she had got the locks changed and stuff like that. But then he was literally breaking into the home. And And he was even seen outside by neighbors. They would report that they saw him out there. So he was being charged with stalking the mother and daughter in the spring of 2005. So they had that pending. And then he ends up getting acquitted at a federal trial in Indiana. Thank you, Indiana. Heredia and Sandra Anaya had, the two other children together, but, she still was not having anything to do with them, and because of what happened to Alexandra. So on late night of August 12th, 2005, and I put it that way because you know how it's late at night, you're hungry, and, now it's like after midnight and whatever. And if you're a late night person, you get that. So technically late night, August 12th, wee early hours, August 13th, Sandra, the mother, goes and she picks up some White Castles for her and her kids. And they ate the White Castles and they were all watching television and stuff together. And then after that happened, the twins had fallen asleep, and Sandra decided that she was going to go out for a bit, and she was going to go on a date. And so Alexandra told her mom that she was just tired and she was just going to go to sleep. So that's when the mother decided to go ahead and go out. So while Sandra was out, she got multiple calls from Heredia and learned that he had been calling the house from Alexandra when she got home. And so she returned home about 3:30 a.m. And the following morning, Alexandra, had told her about the calls. And then Sandra left the house again. And when Sandra returned back to the house, Alexandra was gone. And so they end up believing, the FBI believes, that she disappeared between 4:30 a.m. and 6:45 a.m. So 3 days later, on August 16th of 2005, a family, it's a boy and his parents, finds a torso in the Little Calumet River. So at first they're not sure what it is. They think it may be like a mannequin or something. And then when they get closer to that they realize that it was a torso. There was no head. There was no arms. There were no legs. It was weighted down with chains and straps, basically to try to get the body to go to the bottom of the river. And so the other thing about it is it is 3 blocks from where Heredia'S home is, because he's right near the Little Calumet River. So because she had only the torso, they couldn't use dental records or anything like that. So they had to get DNA from Sandra, the mom. And 3 weeks later, they got confirmation back that it was Alexandra. The rest of her remains have still never been found, which is just, I can't even imagine. So this is when they went out to get the remains of poor Alex, 13-year-old little Alex. So they did go and search. This is Heredia'S home. And it is, like I said before, it is considered a Chicago, Illinois address. Now, I do want to also bring up that when they did the DNA and forensics on Alexandra, she had already, her food from White Castles would digest, so they already knew that. But they did find some French fries in her stomach that was not digested. So they knew that she had somehow recently eaten some fries. So this is his house where they were looking. And I want to give you an idea of the distance from this. So basically, you're looking at less than, just a little over 5 miles here between the left side is Rudolfo Heredia'S home, and the right is the Anaya home. This is a closer look at where his home is located. And if you notice, the balloon is his house. And then I have the straight arrow going up and down. It's pointing right there to the little Calumet River is where her body was located there. So now from the house, if you do it by route, you can see it only takes about 15, 16 minutes to get to the house if you go, through the side streets and stuff here, or you can pick it up and go through, heading northwest to Heredia'S house. And if you notice, when you go up over Heredia'S house and go around, you would pass the Little Calumet River. You'd go over it in order to get to his home as well, if you were going straight from their home to his own. So the mom talks about what terror and stuff that they were in, and what she did to try to, not make him mad, not make him angry, and basically try to get away from him. So when they finally had the charges that were coming to trial, he pled not guilty to those. And basically, they did not charge him for the murder of Alexandra. He wasn't charged for that. He was charged for crossing state lines for the purpose of harassing, injuring, or killing Sandra and Alexandra. And he was also charged with burglarizing Anya's apartment. And again, he ended up getting acquitted in Indiana. And it was being taken on by the Hammond Police Department, who is also the one taking care of Deborah Fulton's case, and the Chicago PD, because he was on their side. And when they had to get DNA and stuff like that, they started working with the FBI. So let me make sure. Nope, that's not what I wanted. There we go. So Sandra, the mom, does testify against him, and the area that he lived in Illinois was called Riverdale, just kind of the particular area. And talked about how violent and jealous that he was, how scared she was of him. And then, he was 29 years old when this happened. So remember, Alex, she was only 13 years old, but that was, he had been around her since she was, 7 was when he started molesting her. And so he was basically 23 when he started molesting her. And so, initially he was held on those charges. And even after he was acquitted, police in the two cities continued to work the case for years. And then the Hammond police detective, who was in charge of it, his full name is Ronald Johnson, retired, talked about how he remained just haunted by the case itself. So in March 23rd of 2009, this all goes that he gets let out and acquitted. And they talk about the retired Ronald Johnson, that he can't forget about Alexandra, and that the case just bothered him a lot. And the mother, Sandra, really talked about how much she also just doesn't feel like her daughter's resting in peace because she hasn't found her whole daughter. You know, when you find your daughter like that and not all of her to bury her is just so sad, you know, and that her mom just can't deal with that. So they end up doing a cold case unit, and Ronald Johnson, who was the detective out of the Hammond Police Department, decided to work with the Chicago PD, the Hammond Police Department, and the FBI. And in 2016, they came back and they decided to try to start checking further DNA with what remains they had of Alex, and that he came in and they were going to try to refresh that case and re-go through everything. And again, it was because it was a case that was really bothering him. And, you know, knowing what this poor girl went through to, you know, be brave enough to step forward and then months later to be murdered the way she is. So this is a video of the mother and the sister, who's now older, speaks, one of the twin sisters.
Alex was like my mom. She was always watching us, cooking us food, helping us with our homework. She wrote like all our colors down and our numbers, and she stuck them on the walls, and we couldn't get into a room unless we spelled it.
She was cute. She was real cute. She always had a big smile and she had dimples, and so like when she would smile, like makes you smile, you know what I mean? She was very loving everybody. Just loved her. She was just real affectionate and nice to everybody.
Alexandra was last seen by her mom in the early morning hours of August 13, 2005 at her home in Hammond, Indiana. 3 days later, a torso was seen floating in the Little Calumet River in Chicago, Illinois by boaters.
And she just said, unfortunately, you know, it is your daughter, so.
I want to know. I want to know what happened to my sister. Why would someone do that to her?
All right. Nope, I don't want that to play. I knew it was going to do that. Oops, there we go. So there's the retired Hammond police revealing about the case that they're and asking to revisit it and asking people's help in 2016. Again, the other problem that Northwest Indiana has is that because they're so close to Chicago, the Chicago news and the Illinois news dominates that in that market. So when you have somebody who's missing in Indiana, they don't get the coverage like they should over there whatsoever. And so, you know, they get this little piece of in a local paper. They may get a mention and stuff like that. But obviously, she never got mentioned in the news. She didn't even have time to get mentioned in the news. She was gone for 3 days. And and then suddenly then they find and discover her body the way they did, which is just terrible. But, they don't get the coverage that they need. That's just like Deborah Fulton. You don't get the coverage that you have at all to be able to spread the word and to get information. You need information out of the Indiana market. You're relating to the Chicago market. They're going to show the Chicago news, and then you worry about that. So, basically, think about this as back in 2005, which is not as far back as Deborah Fulton's, but, people didn't get their news the same way from Deborah Fulton's case. You had to read it in the local paper and things like that. And then when now you're choosing between the Chicago market to play about what happened to this poor girl versus, what's covered in the Indiana market and what's going on. So they had the full story and, revisited times, addresses, where they thought she was, anything like that they were trying to do and recover. And like I said, revisit all of that with her case. So they began by also updating the FBI posters in regards to her. And one thing that I want to point out, that they never found her necklace. That had never been found. Now, this necklace is actually the necklace of Immaculate Conception. If you're Catholic, you know that. And or you may identify it also as the Virgin Mary. But she always wore this necklace, her mother said. And but when her body was found, when her torso was found, her necklace was never found. Now, obviously, they never found the rest of her body. They never found her body parts from that. She was nude. So there was no clothes on her, chains wrapped around her torso, straps wrapped around her to make her go down there. And again, they still have not found her arms, her legs, or her head. And they never found this necklace that she wore throughout that, which is just so heartbreaking. So in 2023, the FBI has doubled the reward for information on the murder of Alexandra Anaya. And they want people to help share any bit of information of something, because they do believe that somebody knows what's happened or heard about what happened to her. So they want people to step forward. And this is a video of her family asking for help with the FBI and with the reward now at $20,000.
New here at 4 o'clock, the FBI is doubling its reward in the cold case of a Hammond teen who was murdered in 2005.
WGN's Christine Flores spoke today with Alexandra Anaya's mother and has more.
Alex's mother says she still holds on to hope that the person responsible for the heinous act that claimed her daughter's life will be held accountable. Meanwhile, she says family has helped her stay strong after all these years.
She was sweet, beautiful. I can't stress beautiful enough.
Sandra Anaya recalls the precious face of her daughter, Alexandra Anaya, who is also known as Alex.
It's hard to relive every day thinking of her because it's so painful. Her memory is happy, but to me it's painful sometimes.
On August 13, 2005, 13-year-old Alex was reported missing from her Hammond, Indiana home. 3 days later, her torso was found floating in the Little Calumet River in Chicago. The rest of her body was never found.
For her birthday or her anniversary, we go to the river where her body was found, and we take flowers and we all sit there, and sometimes we all go by ourselves when we need like alone time with her. I do have rashes at home, but for some reason, I don't know. I just imagining her being in the river by herself. It's just like somewhere I need to go.
The FBI has now doubled the reward for any information leading to an arrest or conviction in Alex's case to $20,000.
Just because it's so many years past, it doesn't mean that we care any less about finding out who committed this heinous crime. This little girl's life had value, and that's why we are bringing in additional money in hopes that someone will be spurred into action to give us a tip that we can work with.
Alex leaves behind 2 younger sisters and a now 13-year-old brother she never met. The family hopes someone will come forward with information so the person or people responsible are held accountable.
What she said, and I want to know what happened, and I just want to know everything. You know, that's the only way that I will ever maybe have closure. It's not fair. She's gone, and someone's walking around free.
Tips can be submitted anonymously to the Chicago Division of the FBI through the information listed below or on our website. Reporting in Chicago, Christine Flores, WGN News.
It's just heartbreaking
New here at
to listen to that mom
It's been 8
talk, just talk about that story. I'm trying to make sure I'm on the right.
New here at 4 o'clock, the FBI is doubling its reward in the cold case of a Hammond teen who was murdered in 2005.
WGN's Christine
This
Flores
is
spoke
another
today
piece
with
of it.
Alexandra Anaya's mother and has more.
Alex's mother says she still holds on to hope that the person responsible for the heinous act that claimed her daughter's life will be held
I think-
accountable.
I hope I did.
Meanwhile, she says family has helped her stay strong after all these years.
She was sweet, beautiful. I can't stress beautiful enough.
Sandra Anaya recalls the precious face of her daughter, Alexandra Anaya, who is also known as Alex.
It's hard to relive every day thinking of her because it's so painful. Her memory is happy, but to me it's painful sometimes.
On August 13, 2005, 13-year-old Alex was reported missing from her Hammond, Indiana home. 3 days later, her torso was found floating in the Little Calumet River in Chicago. The rest of her body was never found.
Hold on, let me mute that for 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Let me go ahead and restart the video.
found.
For her birthday or her anniversary, we go to the river where her body was found, and we take flowers and we all sit there, and sometimes we all go by ourselves when we need like alone time with her. I do have rashes at home, but for some reason, I don't know, I just imagining her being in the river by herself. It's just like somewhere I need to go.
The FBI has now doubled the reward for any information leading to an arrest or conviction in Alex's case to $20,000.
Just because it's so many years past, it doesn't mean that we care any less about finding out who committed this heinous crime. This little girl's life had value, and that's why we are bringing in additional money in hopes that someone will be spurred into action to give us a tip that we can work with.
Alex leaves behind 2 younger sisters and a now 13-year-old brother she never met. The family hopes someone will come forward with information so the person or people responsible are held accountable.
What she said, and I want to know what happened, and I just want to know everything. You know, that's the only way that I will ever maybe have closure. It's not fair. She's gone, and someone's walking around free.
Tips can be submitted anonymously to the Chicago Division of the FBI through the information listed below or on our website. Reporting in Chicago, Christine Flores, WGN News.
All right, let's see if I can get this to turn
It's been
over.
18 years.
So it is so heartbreaking to see this mom and the siblings go through all of this right now and trying to still find out information, and that nobody has, had to deal with anything as far as charges with that. So again, if you have any information for Alexandra Anaya, you can contact the Chicago FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI or tips.fbi.gov, and you can remain anonymous. You can also contact the Hammond Police Department directly, but the FBI is who has taken the lead and stuff for the case. I also have the information scrolling across the bottom. If anybody has any information, we definitely want people to help spread that the FBI is back on the case, that they have continued to look into forensics and DNA on the case, and that they are currently offering this increased reward for information. So we want to definitely get the word out in the Northwest Indiana and Illinois locations and spread the word about her case. And also still Deborah Fulton's case, which are both girls who were murdered, and their murderers haven't been brought to justice. So we need to help these families with that. It is a heartbreaking case for this brave girl who stood up to probably protect her sisters from having something happen to them that she had happened to her around their age. And then just months after she comes forward, that she's found like that. So I appreciate you guys coming on and checking this video out. A lot of times these other crimes don't get as much attention as other murders, and these children need justice too. And we need to find out and support their families also, and do what we can to spread that word. So I appreciate that. Hello, Darren. Welcome. Thank you again, Jinx and Paige, and everybody for watching. It is very important to make sure that all kids, no matter where they live, no matter if it's a boy or girl, no matter, what ethnicity, no matter what, that we bring justice for them and that they all get the coverage that they need. Working on a lot of other cases that are going to be popping up. They're just all overlapping on top of each other. But I am glad that I got this information out. And I will be reaching out to see if I can speak to the former retired detective in regards to this case, because actually I believe he may be the person who retired in charge of Deborah Fulton's case as well. So thank you so much, guys. And thank you for watching. Please help share the video, spread the word, and let's continue to make sure that justice is served daily. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.